Let's go with 5 tips for struggling Skagit casters, Scandi casters, fishing casters. Getting into Spey or intermediate, having a few problems. Number 1, for beginner Skagit casters or guys that are struggling with forming a D-loop. A guy I was helping showed me this the other day. He watched a lot of YouTube stuff. So you have a pie and you circle around, and not only do you go like this, but then you throw it at somebody. Okay, pie, throw it. That's number 1. Imagine that. Number 2, you may find it helpful to pin your upper arm against your rib cage, okay? Just a little bit. Imagine holding a piece of paper or a ball. If you keep this here, you're more likely to not get out of shape for the forward cast by the time you sweep, circle up, and throw. Pin your elbow. That's the second thing. The third thing is, if you're having trouble blowing anchors, which a lot of people do, those first 2 tips will help. But the other thing is slow down. Slow down ridiculously slow as you sweep around and cast, okay? See how ridiculously slow that was? Slow down on the sweep. Fail from going too slow a time or 2, okay? Very, very, very slow. Skagits have huge, big butt ends on them. That's what casts. The tension helps, but if you have 0 tension and the D-loop still, you can cast it with a little bit of a power stroke. Slow on the sweep. Third thing is, you can try casting it before the D-loop forms, like this. You hear that noise it made? It was like coming out of the water. It was really anchored hard, yet because of this Skagit head with a big ass end on it, and a decent D-loop. Okay, even there I blew the anchor because I went too fast. But don't wait for the D-loop to form. Just peel it and cast it. See? I got a little tube fly on here and you still heard it pop, but it also went burp. So it's we want our anchor to sink in a little bit. Okay, I went much slower, peeled it, and cast it before the D-loop formed. And lo and behold, by the time I released, there was a perfect anchor, gripped the fly, and it just shot out there, okay? And on a very lightly weighted outfit. If you can't make yourself cast it before the D-loops formed, like that, try the opposite and sweep slow, circle up slow, and then pause a little bit, and then cast. Now you saw my anchor kind of sunk in, didn't blow the anchor, and that's what we're after. If you're blowing anchors, either cast really early or slow down, cast late, pause, cast, okay? Just the number 1 thing is don't panic. Don't panic. Don't try to get a supersonic D-loop. Just get a D-loop because the Skagit head loads it for you. Okay, and it casts. Or the Scandi head, the same thing. If you will relax and keep the rod tip going up, you can pause, make sure you're not going to blow the anchor, and cast, and you'll be surprised that it'll cast. Number 5, if you're having trouble with blowing anchors, which most people do, because they're overthinking the sweep, they're trying to get all this power, and you know, and we've been taught that. We're all obsessed about all this tension and stuff. But what you can do is let your fly sink in just a little bit before you cast. So instead of doing like that, which we get in a rush sometimes, you can set your anchor, let it soak, come around slow. See, I'm gonna go out in a little bit deeper water because no matter how long I let it soak, it's only gonna sink a few inches. So if you let it soak and let the fly drop down, let your fly soak after you set the anchor. Okay, see there? I kind of paused, I relaxed. All right, I'm down here on the upper Deschutes, casting Bruce & Walker North America's 12'6", 4'5" trout spey caster, or I would call it a trophy trout spey caster because it's a Bruce & Walker, and these things are plenty stout for sure. Got the 325 Rio Skagit Power, my favorite Skagit line. I just love this thing for most applications. And then I have a 10-foot Type 3 Rio replacement tip, 7/8. So it's around 100 grains, give or take. Nice little setup. It's not real loady, you know. It might take more grains to really bend this thing. But what happens if I'm a little low on grains, I can make that up with tension. Casters that have watched a lot of videos, they will always try to sweep too low. But if you keep it, I like to keep it above my head, keep it up, up, up. That will keep the bottom leg of the D-loop out of the water. Now I am casting upstream, so don't anybody have a cow. This is just for demonstration purposes only. So the other huge problem Skagit casters have, beginner or intermediate, is sweeping too fast at whatever level. You have to make it ingrained in your head that you have to sweep slow. There is no acceleration per se in Skagit casting. We're just coming around and casting. We're not starting slow and then accelerating. We're starting at a pace that we can manage, okay? I know Ed Ward says we start with the same speed, but I like to ease into it a little bit just so I don't jar the rod or shock the rod. I like to go easy into it, and then after I start, then I might go to second gear, but I'm gonna keep it in second gear, right here, all the way. It's about making the rod tip path go up until you fire. The other problem that guys are having is blowing anchors. And of course, that usually has to do with going too fast into the circle up position, or going around and then hammering it too early. So there's two different things you can do if you're blowing anchors. Number one is cast early before you think it's ready, okay? So if I'm gonna set my anchor, I'm gonna come around and cast right away. I'm gonna cast before the D-loop is formed. Okay? The other thing you can do, if you cannot find it in you to cast before the D-loop is formed, see if you cast before it's formed, by the time you release that thing on the forward cast, it'll be straightened out enough. If you're having a little trouble with blown anchors or anything with a Skagit head, try soaking your anchor and using a weighted fly. When you do that, it'll dig in. When we say soak the anchor, we're going to set the anchor and just wait before we sweep and fire. So I'm going to set it, soak it, and it just blasts out of there because I got a rod that's really bending. You don't rush it, but you don't wait for the D-loop to form.